Okay, I read the Penguin edition. Other translations may be less tedious. Found it quite hard to get through. Took me quite a while. I was reading, I don't know, maybe a chapter a day for a few months, amongst reading other stuff, because I didn't think I could just read it all in one go, because I just couldn't pay attention for that long. It kind of reads like a historical document more than a fantasy. I mean, obviously it couldn't have been a historical document because there's a dialogue and whatnot, but yeah, just to give you an example of the tone, well, not an example, but an idea of the tone. Well, there was a chapter talking about all the different ships where everyone was from and who their fathers were and how lovely their land was. That kind of thing. Very interesting, I'm sure. Maybe to Homer it was interesting. And a lot of the people you weren't acquainted with until they died, and then you were told what their name was and where they came from and who their dad was. The highlight of that was, for me, a guy named Pylon. I don't know, I just laughed a bit. It wasn't that funny. But it wasn't very interesting. I mean, thinking about it can be interesting, but the book itself wasn't. But I suppose it's different for everybody, and the translations. One thing that was, I noticed, was that the ancient Greeks seemed to attribute noble actions and honourable actions to favour from the gods. But on the other hand, they also seem to attribute fear to the gods as well. They basically thought everything was the gods controlling them. So their idea of being honourable is kind of contradictory. I guess it didn't seem like that to them, but that's what it seems to me. Because a god could make everyone on one side feel scared, so they would be less able to battle, and they could make a particular individual feel really raring to go, wanting to kill people, and they killed ridiculous numbers of people each. I mean, I guess most of them didn't kill anybody and were just killed themselves, but it seems quite unrealistic. Like, they had super strength. They could stab a spear right through your shield. So shields seemed pretty pointless, really, if they didn't do anything to defend people. But I suppose, there was this one shield that was forged by Hephaestus, I think that's the right name, and that was almost impenetrable, which is a bit unfair, but there you go. I was really wanting the whole Trojan horse thing to happen. Apparently that doesn't happen in there, just in case you thought it might happen there. It doesn't. I'm not really sure what to think of it. If it's just so well known because it's old, or because it gives us a certain insight into the minds of the ancient Greeks. Well, I suppose they hadn't perfected the art yet of writing interesting things. Gotta give them credit for that, I suppose. But that seems to be all the merit it has. Oh, one thing that was quite interesting is that apparently, a guy read through the Iliad and the Odyssey and thought, the descriptions of colours are a bit strange here. Maybe they saw colours differently, or maybe they just didn't have the language for it. For example, the wine dark sea is mentioned quite a bit, Oh, that reminds me as well. Quite a few similes describing people going into battle, mostly as a lion or something like that. I suppose they're the best parts of it. Well, if you're into that anyway. Oh, there was something else. I'm blanking. Oh yeah, right. The idea that they kind of, I think they attribute instincts to the person more than to the gods, though. Their idea of being honourable and noble is basically to not have fear of anything, not be cowardly. And I suppose that's them trying to break away from, the original kind of society that humans would have had, which would be a lot more instinctual, less interested in, I suppose, higher ideas, that kind of thing. But it's still noticeably very different from, well, obviously our society today, because women are treated very strangely. I mean, there are female gods and they seem to just be like any other person, really, but women are won as basically prizes for battle and stuff. They're not considered to have any will of their own, really. They just kind of go along with whatever's happening. It's very strange. I wouldn't have liked to be back then anyway. It would have been terrible. I would have hated it. Well, at least I wouldn't have had to fight, but I guess that's a small bonus. I think I've said enough now. Bye.